You step out of a Tokyo train station with an address in hand, but there's a problem. You can't find any street signs. There are no main streets or first avenues. Why? Because in Japan, streets don't have names. So how do you find anything in a country where the streets have no names? And how did this system come to be? Today we uncover the hidden logic behind the world's most puzzling systems. We're navigating through Japan's streets, without using street names. In most countries, street addresses are simple. A number and a street name, like 221B Baker Street, in London, or 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, in Washington, D.C. But in Japan, this format doesn't exist. There are no street names, and house numbers aren't in order. The address system follows a completely different logic, one that confuses tourists and first-time residents alike. Here's an example. Instead of saying 221B Baker Street, the Japanese equivalent would be something like 11923 Ebisu. It's as if every Japanese address comes with its own riddle. Now, let's break down a typical Japanese address. This is the address of a Family Mart convenience store in Tokyo. In most Western countries, an address starts with the building number and ends with the postal code. In Japan, this is reversed. Japanese addresses begin with the largest division of the country and ends with the smallest. So this convenience store is located in Tokyo City, Shibuya Ward, in Subdistrict 1 of Ebisu District. And it can be found in Building 23 of Block 19. There is also a simplified address format where the subdistrict, block and building number are combined. Notice that so far there's no street name at all. One word you might come across often in Japanese addresses is chome. Chome are numbered subdivisions of districts. For example, Ebisu 1 chome means first subdistrict of Ebisu. These numbers help organize large neighborhoods into manageable geographic units. Some areas have no subdistricts. In such areas, block number and building number come right after the district name. Here's what you often see when a Japanese address is written in English. Notice how this is slightly different from the conventional Western format. This is because Japanese like to use a shorter format by combining the numbers together, which we mentioned earlier. For this address, the number 1 refers to the subdistrict, 19 is the block number and 23 is the building number. 150-0013 is the postal code. This is one reason why Japanese addresses are so confusing, especially to foreigners. It's because they often contain multiple sets of numbers instead of a street name. And there's something else that makes Japanese addresses even more confusing. Building numbers aren't assigned in order along a street. They're assigned based on the order of construction. Block numbers are also assigned in the order they were registered. So in older parts of a city, they will not be in linear order. Hence, if you are thinking of navigating an area in Japan based on the building or block number, think again. To understand why the Japanese have no street names, we need to look back in time. Traditional Japanese cities weren't organized around streets. They were organized around land plots. Streets were just the gaps between buildings. And these gaps are viewed as nothing but empty spaces. After all, we don't usually name something that's just an empty space. During feudal times, the focus was on administrative districts, not navigation. Addresses were tied to the plot of land, and not the road or street in front of it. So in this system, streets serve mainly as boundaries between numbered blocks. An address tells you which block a building belongs to, not which street it's on. Unlike European cities that developed through trade and road networks, Japanese cities evolved inward, focused on castles, markets, and temples. This inward, compartmentalized mindset stuck, and so did the address system. Many Japanese cities also grew organically over centuries, not based on planned grid systems common in many Western cities. During the Edo period, from around 1603 to 1868, urban areas in Japan were divided into small self-governing neighborhood blocks. Each block functioned as a self-governing entity, and kept a registry of all its residents, including births, deaths, and family affiliations. These were essentially block-based communities, often enclosed and gated at night. This system created a community-based structure that emphasized collective responsibility. Hence, a person's identity and address were linked to the block name, not the street that ran through it. We have previously talked about how Japanese cities were organized around land plots and not streets. Even the people themselves were historically tied to the neighborhood blocks they were living in. These blocks were the primary social and administrative units, not streets. So why hasn't Japan switched to street names? There are a few reasons. First, land plot registration is central to property rights, taxes, and zoning. Second, Japan is extremely good at adapting the system. GPS, navigation apps, and super precise postal routes make the lack of street names almost a non-issue for locals. In fact, many Japanese people navigate by landmarks instead of addresses. Turn left at the Lawson, or go past the train station, then look for the red vending machine. It's a hyper-local, almost community-based navigation style. But let's be real, it's confusing if you're new to the area. Tourists, new residents, and even Japanese people moving to new cities often struggle to find places. That's why many businesses in Japan include hand-drawn maps on flyers, name cards and websites. Even in 2025. But here's the plot twist. Some streets in Japan do have names, especially in ancient cities like Kyoto. Kyoto City retains a grid layout, so there are streets like Shiho-dori, or 4th Street in English, and Karasuma-dori, Karasuma Street in English. In Kyoto, the district divisions are very small and numerous, and there is often more than one district with the same name within a single ward. This makes the system extremely confusing. Hence, many residents of Kyoto use an unofficial system including street names. This is increasingly recognized by the post offices and government agencies in Kyoto. Apart from Kyoto, highways, expressways, and major streets are often named and signposted. These road names help with navigation, especially for driving and public transport routes. Named roads are helpful for giving directions and identifying areas, but they are generally not used in postal addresses. The Japanese system of addresses preserves a unique historical and administrative system. It's incredibly precise, down to the building. However, it's extremely unintuitive and borderline impossible without local knowledge or digital help. But despite the confusion, the system works. Because Japan has made it work. In Japan, the absence of something as basic as a street name reveals something deeper. A different way of thinking about community, land, and identity. It echoes traditional Japanese architecture and urban planning, which prioritizes harmony with surroundings over uniformity. That's only scratching the surface. The unique Japanese system reflects a culture where community ties and social familiarity are more central to navigation than impersonal systems like street grids. You can see how much community matters in Japan by the way people deeply respect and adhere to social norms and etiquette. There are often detailed rules of social conduct for various situations, which help ensure smooth and predictable interactions, reinforcing social order and social cohesion. In Japanese culture, there's a strong sense of boundary between who's inside and who's outside. Your inner circle, or uchi, includes family, close friends, or co-workers. Soto, the outer circle, refers to everyone else. And within each group comes a different level of formality, expectation, and obligation. Maintaining harmony within the inner circle is everything. Without street names, the land becomes more than geography, it becomes a shared memory. Knowing your way around isn't just practical, it shows you're part of the community, part of the inner circle. Would you survive a week in Tokyo without street names? Or do you think it's time Japan joined the rest of the world? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Thank you for watching.